Welcome to Skechcraft, the podcast for art, design, and process junkies. I'm Rob Duenas, art director for Game Fan Magazine and Artist Esquire. This is an unedited podcast, which means there is some cursing from time to time, so please be aware. Thanks for listening, and here we go. Okay, here you go. Rob D here. So the soapbox returns. Alright, so I had a bunch of stuff I was going to talk about, and I've decided to switch gears and move to something a little more current in my life. So, Art Thieves. Alright, Sketch Rants. If you aren't aware what Sketch Rants is, this is sort of side podcast that I do for Skechcraft, where I just sort of get on my soapbox and talk for 20 minutes or so about various things, yada yada. So this sketch rant will be about Art Thieves. Now, I'm going to probably have to break this up into two parts. I'm hoping only two. We'll see how the time flows. What I want to do is break this into three bits over two parts. So the first piece would be influences. Okay. The second would be stealing art outright. And then the third would be inspirational versus working in a house style. So what do I mean by all this stuff? What am I getting at? What I mean in terms of thieving art, I sort of see three complaints constantly sort of pop up, three popular sort of topics. One would be your style, your influence, how you draw. If you draw on something that reminds someone of someone else, that can be seen as a negatory to a lot of people. They'll go, oh, I've seen that kind of style of art before. You're stealing someone's style. So that would be the influences. The second would be stealing outright, where let's say I go onto eBay and I see that my art is posted in someone's store and they're selling prints of my art from DeviantArt, or your art from DeviantArt, or your blog, or wherever. And then that also includes claiming other people's art outright. So let's say I do a Richie Rich cover, someone redraws Richie Rich, or takes my art, prints it out and paints around it and puts their name on it and goes to a convention and claims ownership of that art. That would be another way of stealing outright. And then the last thing I'm not going to get too into because it's too complex to get into would be downloading electronic media, or downloading stealing comic books and stealing movies and that sort of stuff. And I'm not going to get too much into that because this goes on and on and on. I'm more concerned about the first two, but I'll briefly touch on that. And then the last would be inspirational versus house style. And what I mean by that, and why I need a whole separate podcast for that, would be, when you go to an art department, a lot of people sort of, or you meet with an editor, they'll hand you someone's art or someone's style and say, we're looking for something like this, right? This is what we're working in. When I'm in a t-shirt department and a buyer from Walmart says, we want to do something like this, and they hand you t-shirts that are already working in their store or at another store, it means that they've had a track record of success with that, and you're sort of handed the reins to work in that style. Or in a likewise point, which is why I sort of tie them together, would be working in a house style. And that's where when I go into a place, I'm going to be working in this style. There's no really ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that could be seen, like say I'm working on a Disney movie, and hypothetically speaking, obviously I'm not drawing my own way. There's a lead artist in an art department, and they have model sheets and style guides, and we need to sort of fit that mold. We need to fit that style. Or if I'm hypothetically working at Wildstorm Studios, and Jim Lee's we're all going to work in Jim Lee style from now on. We're going to keep it sort of serious. We're going to keep it gritty. We're going to keep this look going. This is what we're going to be known for. This is what we're going to do. Versus me just up and doing my Bruce Timm version of Wetworks or Wildcats or something. To bring on my vague 90s references, all you young folks. So that's sort of the three big pieces. And based on how much time I spent on each one, we'll see how how these rants get broken up. So let's talk about stealing outright, the middle section. Let's talk about stealing outright. So what I mean, this is the most blatant form of art thievery, and is in no way excusable whatsoever. There's just no. If there's a black and a gray and a white, right? This is the deep blackest. Okay, this means you are stealing people's art. That means, in our realm, you're going on the internet. You're going. You could be scanning comic books or whatever, but more likely you're going on the internet. You're getting nice high-res files and artists put up to promote their work, to promote their art or their community. Like in my Deviant art blog at robduenas.deviantart.com or sketchcraft.com. You can go on there, and I have a lot of high-res art that I drew. Sometimes I don't even have signatures on my stuff because I don't like putting a signature on stuff half the time, or it wasn't in the original art and I'm too lazy to go back and add it somewhere, vice versa. But I put the high-res art up on there so people can see it and promote it. They can put it on their iPad, they can share it around with friends, they can see the details and things like that, all the things I wanted to see from art when I was growing up that I was unable to, because my only exposure to a lot of art was, every now and then the comic book shop would have something I wanted to get, or I'd go to Comic-Con and collect a lot of free giveaways. And what they'll do is they'll take art from, say, DeviantArt or, your personal website or blog, and then go into, case in point, eBay. I just had something pop up where it was funny. A little commission I did, a little ink drawing. It's not even a really good piece of art. It's just something I did for a commission. It's just a one-off, like an hour or two with inking. Ends up in someone's eBay store, and the whole store has 2,000 posters and prints and stuff like that. And if you guys want links for this, I'll have it in my links, or links to my journal posts in DeviantArt regarding this in the show links file. And so they have a bunch of people's art, Udon, all these things that they've gotten from various artists on Deviant, and they just sell prints. And they've been around since 2004, doing this. And they're very proud. So that's wrong, folks. The other thing would be claiming credit. So, yeah, this is definitely going to run 3 parts. So I'm going to slow down just a little bit. So what can you do about that? What can you do about someone who's jacking all your art? Well, you can't. There's really nothing you can do. Right? The solution that was brought up to me was, well, you should watermark all your stuff. And the problem with watermarks are you don't win a lot of awards or get a lot of attention with the big watermark in the center of your art. It's hard for people to be... Yeah, I don't mind someone taking my art and printing it out at home, putting it up on their wall if it's inspirational to them. That's why I put it up there. That's why I put a PDF together for the podcast. Skechcraft.com. But that's why I put the PDF together with some pretty nice resolution, images to see all the phases of a cover or anything else I do. And it's to help. One, it's free promotion. So that's the tit for tat, for the lack of a better term, is I'm getting free promotion. You're getting to see the art, and it looks really cool. With the big watermark in the center of that, well, that's going to eliminate over half. And I've tried that. I put big watermark. I've seen some artists like Shamba and whatnot will put their name. Like if they do a character just posing, they'll put their name behind it. So it says Chamba, 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 Chamba. And I hate that. That's good for them. I think he sort of made that work in a style, and people who've done it make it work in a style. For me, I don't want that in my art. I can't imagine. So my way around all this is to expose people who steal. All right, just like you're able to make money jacking my art. Well, I'm going to expose them for who they are. I went to PhoenixCon last month, and there was these people making bootleg lightsabers. Okay, and they were right next to our booth, and they're lightsabers, and they're making their own lightsabers, and they're bootlegs and whatever. And I don't care, honestly. I don't give a shit, But what was bugging me was they take these lightsabers and people want to know how sturdy they were because they had big poles you can whack each other with. They want how sturdy are they? And they take these poles and whack them against the fucking table over and over and over 3 or 4 times just to show people really hard. And when I say loud, like my ears are ringing. Okay, now I was a tinker in the army. All right, like it wasn't that loud in a tank. Okay, so God, I say okay a whole lot. I gotta stop that. But what I'm getting at is that got so annoying, and we would ask them, "Could you please stop? Could you please stop? Could you please stop?" So finally, they would just keep doing it, and they were angry at us and all the other artists trying to draw and have a conversation with people. And so they finally had this big raffle, and remember they brought people in, and everyone was all around the raffle, and they wanted to bang these things, and I just stood up and I got sick of it, and I'm like, "You guys are bullies. You know, you're all bullies. That's what you are. I thought I left you people behind in high school, but I see now that little bullying plan didn't work out for you. Now you're selling bootleg lightsabers at conventions, the one place I never thought I'd meet you folks, you kinds of folks, and you're whacking your fucking sabers, you know, like you're some tough person, you know, ruining everybody else's good time for your fucking bootlegs. You're bullies. You're thugs and bullies. You know, and I'm not afraid of a bully. And I've got my ass kicked plenty of times in this world standing up to bullies. I'm not afraid to stand up to anybody. And I'm not going to stand there and watch someone on the internet, you know, steal people's art and say, you know what, I'm gonna ruin all the good time for all the people who came from my art, right? I'm gonna put watermarks and everything and low-res JPEGs on all my blogs, right? And I'm gonna limit and clamp down on security, right? Because that's not gonna stop them. They're just gonna sell that shit. They're just gonna go to someone else. You know, you can't go around in America and be tightening down every little bit of security for just to to stop the negative 0.2% of people in the world ruining a good time. You know, you have to call and expose these people for what they are. So I have the podcast, you know, and I have the journals on DeviantArt, and I have Facebook, and turns out there's a really great community for supporting this sort of thing. I want to give a really good shout out to Thief Busters. They're a nice group on Deviant that sort of go out their way to expose all sorts of thievery on DeviantArt and abroad. And then I want to also give a good shout out to, sorry. 1 second. I'm going to bring up her name. She is a cat that showed up on my journal. Good shout out to Beccald, BECCALD, .deviantart.com, Beccald. I think her name is Rebecca. I'm not certain, but apparently works at eBay, so she's going to go out of her way to shut these cats down one way or the other. So whether that happens or not, really appreciate all the good vibe. And that's what we do. As artists, we have to expose people, you know. And as a citizen, if anytime you see anything wrong in the world, you expose it. And if people give you a hard time for that, well, so what? You know, if you're the only person in the world telling the truth, it's still the truth. You can have a Gandhi-like response to things. You have to expose people for what they are. All right? That's the real, in my opinion, that's the real way to deal with this sort of stuff. To bring that to another point, claiming credit. There's been something I've stumbled across the internet over the past over the past year, actually. And it's bleedingcool.com. I'll have, again, links in the show links. Bleedingcool.com is running some really great exposure over two people. One's Rob Granito. I think Rich Johnson has been on this one. And Rich Johnson has also been on Josh Hoops over at Bleeding Cool. And what these are is Rob Granito is a guy who goes to conventions and claims he worked on the Batman animated series, and he claims he does a lot of stuff, and he takes people's artwork like Calvin Harv's artwork and sort of paints over it a little bit or redraws it and sells commissions. And people think this guy is like a real artist. And he's finally getting exposed for what he is, which is just an outright thief. And then he has an issue with ruining his career. He doesn't see anything wrong with it. You know, I'm sorry. I mean, I put in thousands and thousands of hours. I have very little social life. You know, I'm pale, right? Vampiric, right? To make my art at a level, you know, that is competitive, that is professional. And then these guys just go on the fucking wherever they want to go and claim credit and go to conventions where, you know, granted it's a small crowd, most people don't know. I know because of my art, you know, certain art invokes certain styles. People think I'm Todd McFarlane or I'm J. Scott Campbell or I'm, you know, Kevin Eastman or something like that because I have that art in my portfolio, and I have to explain to people like, no, I'm not. I drew this stuff, but I'm not the creators of these things. I just have my influences. That's a whole other section. But this guy Rob Granito is a guy who just blatantly outright steals stuff, and I wouldn't just slander him on the internet without showing you all the proof. So bleedingcool.com, check out the links. It's a crazy story. The other guy would be a guy that's sort of vaguely associated with him. I guess he's repping him, and his name is Josh Hoops. This guy's another thief. I know of the Josh Hoops situation from talking to some friends of mine. Basically, this guy's gone out on the internet and claimed to be Art Adams. You know, if you don't know who Art Adams is, well, I can't help you with that. But he's actually taken a lot of commissioned rates and just made off with the artwork. So Josh Hoops and Rob Granito, I hope you burn in hell. You know, or well, I don't believe in a hell, so fuck. You know, I hope you get stuck somewhere, you know, or you just get exposed for who you are. Honestly, that's what I really want, is exposure. So definitely go to Bleeding Cool and read more up on those stories. And if you see Rob Granito or Josh Hoops ever at a convention, shun them and let them know it's not cool. You know, I'm sure Rob might be a nice guy and he has kids and a wife, and these aren't terrible people. But if you want to be an artist and you want to have people buy your art, draw. All right? Draw for reals. Learn construction and perspective and color theory and all these things that go with it. And if you're not good enough to do it, so fucking what? That's not my problem. You know, my dream in life, honestly, people, sad as it may seem, was to be a professional wrestler. You know? I loved Macho Man, all right, and The Undertaker. And I was no fucking good at it. I was a 6 foot tall 11-year-old. You'd think I would have been. You would have thought I would have been athlete material. Not an ounce of coordination or balance or real strength behind me. I wasn't a very strong kid. Certainly not for professional wrestling. But I loved the showmanship and I loved the characters, and for me it was. I didn't have a lot of comic books to read as a kid, and so I loved the storylines in the WWF and whatnot. And Bret the Hitman Hart and all that shit was fucking my dreams, and I wanted to be a professional wrestler. And I learned real on that I don't have what it takes to get hit over the head over and over and over and over and over. So I had to let it go. You know? That's it. Sorry. That's the way it works. The third one I want to talk about really quick is downloading electronic media and the single artist. So downloading. Okay. So, yeah, every one of us has probably at one time downloaded something on the internet, right? And the more you tend to work in an industry, the less you'll do that. So, let's say you download games a lot, and then you work at a game developer, and you see that, wow, you guys sold 10,000 games, but there are like 200,000 pirated games out there, you know? And so you probably stop stealing games. You know, I don't steal games. All right, I don't. I mean, I have a bunch of retro games I've downloaded, but they're games I'm unable to buy currently without paying exorbitant fees, or like $100 for actual ROMs, you know, physical ROMs, or they're games I already own. But I don't steal games. Music, no. I've downloaded. I've downloaded things that I've previously bought, and I bought 3 or 4 times on fucking iTunes, and I lose them and rebuy them. That gets old. But luckily, not too much comes out these days, so I just purchase whatever. Matter of fact, if I do buy it, I'll buy digitally because I like it here and now. But I did buy the last Metallica album they put out. That shit was awesome. And that's where, to me, I think a lot of this gets around the fact, like, I'd buy a lot more physical, like, media, like CDs and stuff, if they just put out more entertaining packages and stuff. Like, I'm probably going to get into vinyl here soon because I really want to get the Tron and the Dark Knight vinyl records and stuff. But then there's stealing comics, and to me, this is probably the biggest thing affecting artists right now, and DC and Marvel, is they got to find a way to stop this stealing the comics thing. I certainly don't. I don't in any way endorse that whatsoever. How do I say this? So I have collections of comics digitally. I've gotten from art departments when I had to work on properties, and we need access to comics that we don't have for the license. And that sucks. You know, I've had to use that stuff. I don't like it. But I just don't think people should be stealing any of that stuff. And movies and all that other yada yada. I really wish there was a better way to deal with all that. I wish there was a way to preview things like music and stuff before I buy them. I don't know how. I don't know how to work all this. I'm not here to solve the world's problems. So it's a shame. We've all done it. And when it happens to you, then maybe you start to see. I think the idea is that stealing from a major company ain't the same thing as stealing from one person. But you know, I can't get into that. I mean, I'll be here for 2 hours talking about that shit. I don't think anyone wants to listen to it. If you do, let me know. So, I've said a lot. I've said an awful lot. Recap really quick about stealing outright. eBay. Go on there if you're an artist. Do a search for yourself. Find people. Expose them. Find people. Type in TMA. If you're drawing Ninja Turtles, draw Ninja Turtles. I mean, I've seen a lot of art on there from artists. I don't have the time to go around emailing everyone. This person stole your art. This person stole your art. You know, but there are people out there who do have that time, or that's what their calling is. They're making that their case. And to all you people, I give you a big toast. Here. That's my coffee. I salute to you. You are my heroes, and I appreciate you. And I totally support. Go to Thiefbusters, DeviantArt.com, Thiefbusters, DeviantArt.com, Thiefbusters.deviantart.com. Join their group. If you want to fight and expose people about stealing art, then you expose them. And all those people who've done a good job of bleeding cool, following up on people like Rob Granito and Josh Hoops and all those guys who are going around stealing art and claiming ownership, good to you too. I totally support this. BleedingCool.com. You guys are the hooking it up. And I just tremendously appreciate all of that stuff, guys. So let's get on to the next two, influences and inspirational. Next podcast coming up shortly. Thanks, bye.
Keep standing.